Hello, everyone. We are back for the final episode of the Job series. Today, the Lord is going to answer Job, and we are going to finish up this amazing series that God has blessed me with. I'm so thankful that I was able to go live as many times as I did. I checked, it was over a month's time. So if you've been here for a full month, thank you so much for being here. I'm just going to start off with a quick thankful prayer to the Lord for allowing me to do this. So let's just get started. Thank you, Lord, so much for today and this ability to do this for one whole month, Lord. I'm just so thankful, Father, that you blessed me with the ability to share this with others. And I just pray that anybody who is watching this either live or on the replay, that they would be really blessed by this and that they would really do some research for themselves. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. Okay, so we're going to get started with the Lord answering Job. I'm going to put the Bible on screen. So let me just do that. Okay, so the Lord now is answering Job. So where we left off last time, sorry, everyone. So here, Elihu, again, I can't pronounce these names. Basically, Job's friends here were basically giving their kind of spiel, their perspective on everything. So the facts that we had here were from them. Now we're going to get to the Lord. So the Lord here, and if you don't know what the Lord is, now I'm going to see if this will allow me to do it. Just give me a second here. If we do the exegetical guide, I believe I can do that. Okay, yeah. Okay, so if we look here about the Lord, for the word for Lord is Yahweh, YHWH. Now I got to see where that comes up. Yeah, right here. So Yahweh. Some people say Yahovah or Jehovah. As you can see here, I know that when I pronounced it out on one of those like websites that you can pronounce the words, it said Yahovah. So again, it depends on how it's pronounced, but YHWH, Yahweh, is what we mean by the Lord. So that's what is happening when we're talking about the Lord. I'll move that over just in case we need it, not here. And it's just not cooperating. Okay, so we're going to move on now to the verse here in Job chapter 38, verse 16. So this says, and I'm just going to make sure that I can, 38:16. So I'm just going to see, I think I have a note here. So I don't know why my notes aren't syncing up. I'm going to see if I can do just Job 30. Sorry, guys, I should have been prepared. And Job 38, I should have something for Job 38. You know what? I am just going to click done, and I am going to get out of that because that's annoying. I'm going to just see if I can open that up in a separate one. Okay, I got it. Job 38:16. Okay. So right here we have you entered into the springs of the sea or walked into the recesses of the deep? So what's very interesting here is what God is saying is, have you entered the springs of the sea? Now, I know I don't have it on me right now. I really wish I did. But there's a translation of the Bible that I really like. I think it's called I think it was in the International Children's Bible, I know. But it's a good translation. And it said something like, have you ever been to the bottom of the ocean? And I will pull that up for you guys on my Instagram or something if you want to go check that out at the same username. But basically here, what is God talking about? And here it says springs of the sea. Springs of the sea likely refer to hydrothermal vents on the ocean floor. These underwater springs emit hot water from the Earth's interior, often rich in minerals, and they exist in deep oceanic regions. Modern science has discovered hydrothermal vents, ecosystems teeming with life, and these vents have been a key to understanding life in the extreme environments. So what's also very interesting here, and we're going to move on to the next part because that's not where it said it, but recesses of the deep. This phrase can refer to the deepest parts of the ocean, the abyssal zones. These areas of the ocean are so deep and dark that humans couldn't explore them until very recently with submarine technology. So I think the deepest parts of the ocean have not been discovered. But I know some deeper parts are being discovered as time goes on, as technology evolves here. But it says the idea of walking in these recesses is, of course, a rhetorical question. Humans have never walked in the deep sea due to the immense pressure and darkness. So the Bible is saying here, and God is basically saying, you have never been to the bottom of the ocean. Now, who knows what's at the bottom of the ocean? God, Yahweh. Why does God know that? Because he created the ocean. He knows the deepest parts of the sea because he's the creator of it. So this is my theory. Again, take this with a grain of salt. Don't believe everything I say here, but I think it's very interesting. I feel like God may have created some creatures that we don't even know exist, but like only he knows exist. It's probably like a creature at the very, 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 very bottom that was designed to basically be able to live in that kind of environment, but we don't even know about it. Think about that. That'd be cool. Honestly, that'd be cool. Like God's little secret creature that he just loves that we don't know about. Okay. So we're going to move on to the next verse here. Hopefully this will work. Yes. Okay. who has cleft a channel for the torrents of rain and a way for the thunderbolt, to bring rain on a land where no man is, on the desert in which there is no man, to satisfy the waste and desolate land, and to make the ground sprout with grass. Has the rain a father, or who has begotten the drops of dew? For those whose womb did the ice come forth, and who has given birth to the frost of the heavens? The waters become like hard stone, and the face of the deep is frozen. So there's a lot here to go through. So we're going to start off with the first part here. And the first part says, sounds poetic, but there's some signs here. So this whole verse here, who has cleft a channel for the torrents of rain. This verse here, it says that it sounds poetic, but there's some signs. Channel for the rain could point to how rainwater naturally follows paths through terrain. Think rivers, dry washes, erosion channels. So it's very interesting here. God is talking about the rainwater and how things are flowing naturally. Way for the thunderbolt. Lightning does follow a path through the air shaped by electrical charge differences between clouds and the ground. Lightning tends to travel along ionized channels which are invisible but real. Very interesting how we have God here, the person speaking here, or I don't want to use person, I'm sorry, but I guess I'll have to say person for this, but the person speaking here is claiming to be Yahweh, God of everything, right? God of creation. And the facts that are coming out of Yahweh's mouth are 100% true, which I think is very interesting. You say God doesn't exist, but then again, God is literally speaking true facts here. So super cool. All right, to bring rain on the land where no man is part. So that here, I'm going to just try to bring it up. Okay. 100% real. Rain does fall uninhabited, remote places, and where it hits desert ground, you'll see plants suddenly sprout, especially after long dry spells. Think of desert super blooms, all triggered by a bit of rare rain. It's a real phenomenon. Very interesting. And then from those whose womb did the ice come forth. So obviously it's not talking about the actual womb, like ice doesn't come from a womb. It's more talking about who's the creator of that, right? Womb, you think of like where you're being created, like when a baby is inside the mother's womb and it's being knitted together and created. Again, poetic metaphor for natural processes. Ice and frost come from temperature drops below freezing, causing water vapor or liquid to solidify. But in Job's time, that was a mysterious transformation. So womb is symbolic for unknown origin, which is interesting saying an unknown origin here. I would honestly say that it's probably talking about how God's the one that brings the ice forth. Okay, so now we're going to read the verse 31. Okay, so this one is, can you bind the chains of Pleiades or loose the cords of Orion? Can you lead forth the Mazzaroth in their season? Or can you guide the bear with its children? Do you know the ordinances of the heavens? Can you establish their rule on earth? So here, when it's talking about can you bind the chains of the Pleiades or loose the cords of Orion, this is talking about constellations. Pleiades equals a tight cluster of stars, still called that today. Bind the chains. They appear tightly grouped in the night sky. It's like God asking, can you keep them together like I do? Orion is a super famous constellation with its iconic belt of stars. Loose the cords. Orion looks spread out, not bound. The idea is that you can't rearrange the stars, but I can. God is saying, you can't rearrange the stars, but I can. Yesterday, I was actually just at a planetarium and I saw different constellations you look up and it was interesting. So it's interesting here that literally I'm talking about that today, which I think is very funny. Okay, so here's a fun fact for you guys. These stars move slowly through space, but from Earth's view, they looked the same for thousands of years. So this imagery hits hard, both poetically and observationally. Now, can you guide the bear with its children? The bear is likely Ursa Major, the Great Bear, which includes the Big Dipper, which is something actually I just saw yesterday at the planetarium. I looked up and they literally had like a bear, it looked like a bear. They basically put a bear over the constellation. It was cool. Its children equals probably Ursa Minor, the little bear, aka the Little Dipper, which I just saw yesterday, or the nearby stars that follow it across the sky. These constellations rotate around the North Star, visible year-round in the Northern Hemisphere. It's a way of saying, can you manage their movement across the sky? So I know people are maybe going to think, well, is God here just talking about an actual bear? Now, again, it could be an actual bear, but most likely it's not, because of the way that they're talking, the way that God is talking here about binding the chains of Pleiades. It's definitely probably more astronomy than it is to be like a fact about an actual bear, which I think is very interesting. And again, God is saying, here are my constellations that I've created. So every single constellation that you can look up at the sky, there is a creator for that, and it is God, Yahweh. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next verse, in verse 38. When the dust runs into a mass and the clods stick fast together. What's happening? It's describing what happens when rain hits dry ground. Dust runs into mass. Dry, loose dust gets wet and clumps together. Clods stick fast together. Those clumps or clods becomes hardened or compact when moisture binds the particles. Scientifically speaking, it's accurate. Soil particles, especially clay, have electrical charges that make them bind together when wet. Rain causes aggregation, which forms clods, and compacts dust, a well-known process in soil science. Okay, now we're going to get into a little bit more about the animals, which I love this part. Okay, so we're going to move on to 39. Okay, can you hunt the prey for the lion or satisfy the appetite of the young lions? Now, this part right here, it says, this gets at the idea that humans don't provide for wild predators. Lions hunt for themselves, especially young lions who stay hidden while adults hunt. It's a rhetorical way of saying nature takes care of its own and humans aren't running the show. When they crouch in their dens or lie in wait in their thickets. That's classic lion behavior. Lions often rest or crouch in cover, waiting to ambush prey, especially in brushy or thicketed areas. Lions are opportunistic ambush hunters, not just open chasers. Interesting. Again, who would know all the different processes and all the different behaviors of animals? The creator itself, God, Yahweh. Okay, who provides for the raven its prey when its young ones cry out to God for help and wander about for a lack of food? This one's poetic, but still legit. Ravens are scavengers, and they don't always find easy meals. Baby ravens do cry out noisily when hungry, and they're totally dependent on the parents early on. The idea of them crying to God is a poetic way of saying their survival depends on forces beyond their control. Again, nature doing its thing. All right, I think we're almost at the final verse. Wow. Okay. We're going to move on. Do you know when the mountain goat gives birth? Do you observe the calving of the does? Can you number the months that they fulfill? Do you know the time when they give birth? When they crouch, bring forth their offspring, and are delivered of their young. Their young ones become strong. They grow in the open. They go out and do not return to them. Okay, so about the mountain goat giving birth here, we're going to go up a little bit. Mountain goats and deer, like does, give birth in remote, rugged areas, usually high elevations or thick forests. It's hard for humans to witness. Even today, wildlife biologists struggle to observe these exact birthing events without specialized tracking. So again, we can't see that, but who can? God, because God creates everything. Can you number the months that they fulfill? Gestation periods are known now. Example, 5 to 6 months for deer, 6 months for mountain goats. But back then, this was a mystery. The passage is basically highlighting how nature works on its own timeline, often outside human awareness, which is 100% true. They crouch down, bring forth the offspring, and are delivered of their young. Accurate behavior. Wild unregulates, right? I can't pronounce that, guys. So sorry. Like goats and deer, give birth while crouching or lying down quickly and quietly, often hidden from predators. Now their young ones become strong and they grow up in the open. They go out and do not return to them. That's wild behavior 101. The young are pre-social, meaning they are up and walking shortly after birth. They grow fast, learn to forage, and don't rely on their mothers long term. In species like deer and goats, juveniles leave and establish their own range, usually not sticking with the mom past weaning. Very interesting. Okay. Okay. I don't know why it's opening up that. It wants to open up something else, so we'll just X this guy out and let's open this guy up. Funny. Okay. So here we got in Job 39, verse 5, it says, "Who has let the wild donkey go free? Who has loosed the bonds of the swift donkey? To whom I have given the arid plain for his home, and the salt land for his dwelling place. He scorns the tumult of the city. He scorns the tumult of the city." I just read that, sorry. "He hears not the shouts of the driver. He arranges the mountains as his pasture, and he searches after every green thing." Okay, who has let the wild donkey go free? Let's just bring that up. This describes wild donkeys like onager or an African wild ass, legit wild animals, not domesticated ones. They're roamed deserts and arid regions for thousands of years without human control. "To whom I have given the arid plain for his home and the salt land for his dwelling place," that checks out. Wild donkeys are desert adapted. Think Middle East, North Africa, Central Asia, places that are dry, salty, and rough. They thrive in places where not much else does. "He scorns the tumult of the city. He hears not the shouts of the driver." Wild donkeys avoid human areas. They're not into crowds, noise, or being heard. They're extremely independent and hard to tame even today. So I know obviously it wouldn't be driver in the sense of like car driver, but again, I would assume it would mean like things that are going around, even like, I don't know, horse and buggy or something. I could be wrong, but okay. "He ranges the mountains as his pasture, and he searches after every green thing. In tough, rocky, mountainous environments, they forage constantly for sparse vegetation. They're survival pros." Very interesting. Okay, so we're still going on here. We have a few more to get through. I believe, yeah, we got a couple more to go through, and then we're almost done. This is going to be a little bit longer episode, but I think it'd be fun. Okay, so we're going to move on. Don't even know where I'm at right now. Okay. Okay, so it says here, "The wings of the ostrich wave proudly, but they are the pinions and plumage of love. For she leaves her eggs to the earth and lets them be warmed on the ground, forgetting that a foot might crush them, and that the wild beast may trample them. She deals cruelly with her young as if they were not hers. Though her labor be in vain, yet she has no fear." So here it says, the ostrich does indeed have large wings that it uses in display for balance while running. But unlike a stork, the ostrich's wings are not used for flight. While ostriches do wave their wings or use them in movements, they are flightless, making the comparison to the stork, a bird known for migration and flying, symbolic in emphasizing that the ostrich's wings are not like those of other birds. Ostriches do lay eggs on the ground, and they warm them by sitting on them. This is a common behavior among ground nesting birds. The dust reference could symbolize the dusty ground where ostriches often nest, in savannas or desert environments. She forgets that a foot may crush them. Ostriches are vulnerable to predators or accidents, such as being stepped on by larger animals. This is a realistic concern, as ostriches do not provide extensive protection for their eggs compared to other species. She treats her young harshly. Ostriches are known to be less attentive to their eggs and chicks compared to other birds, although this may not be entirely accurate in a strict sense. After hatching, ostrich mothers and fathers may sometimes seem less protective as their young are left to fend for themselves more quickly than in many other species. However, they do protect their eggs and chicks from predators to some extent. Very interesting that God, Yahweh, is describing it perfectly as he's the creator. Okay, again, this is wants to do that, so we'll just do that. Okay. "Do you give the horse his might? Do you clothe his neck with a mane? Do you make him leap like the locust? His majestic snorting is terrifying. He paws in the valley and exults in his strength. He goes out to meet the weapons. He laughs at fear and is not dismayed. He does not turn back from the sword." So have you given this horse its strength? Horses are known for their strength, especially in the context of work or battle. You ever seen old battles, even just like the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness just happened. So again, look how strong those horses are on the jockeys. It's like they're like just going and going. Super cool. The idea of a necked cloth with thunder could be metaphorical, referring to the power and loud sound of a horse's neigh, or the thunderous noise that can accompany the galloping of a horse in large groups. You see movies where it's like, and they're like going, they're going. Okay. Locusts are often used in the Bible. Did we talk about locusts? Yes, we did. Okay. Locusts are often used in the Bible as a metaphor for something that can cause great fear or devastation. Here it may suggest that the horse is an animal that can be easily frightened or intimidated. Snorting is a common behavior in horses, especially when they're excited or agitated, and it can be perceived as fearsome sound. He paws in the valley and rejoices in his strength. Horses pawing the ground is a common behavior, often seen in excitement or in preparation for movement, such as before a charge or battle. The phrase gallops into the clash of arms evokes the image of a war horse, a powerful animal that is used in battle and thrives in the environment, showing courage and power in combat situations. So I just want to mention this because this made me think of it. So here it's talking about the horse's strength. Back in Jesus' time, if you came on a horse, you meant like war and battle. But if you came on a donkey, you meant peace. And what did Jesus do? He came in on a donkey. Just want to add that in there. Okay, so this might be the final. I just want to check. Yeah. And I don't know if we're going to get to Beth Moth but we'll just do this one. Okay, so this is the final one we're going to be talking about in Job 39. Is it by your understanding that the hawk soars and spreads his wings towards the south? Is it at your command that the eagle mounts up and makes his nest on high? On the rock he dwells and makes his home, on the rocky crag and stronghold. From there he spies out the prey. His eyes behold it from far away. His young ones suck up blood, and where the slain are, there he is. Hawks migrate seasonally, typically southward during fall and winter, driven by instinct and environmental changes. Eagles build nests in high places like cliffs or tall trees, providing safely and a good vantage point for hunting. Eagles nest in high rocky areas to avoid predators and have a clear view of their surroundings. Eagles have exceptional vision, capable of spotting prey from great distances, up to 4 to 5 times farther than humans. Eagle chicks feed on meat brought back by the parents, often consuming blood and flesh of prey. They're scavenger or hunt for food. So I don't know if you've ever seen it. I've seen like birds that in like videos of people. I don't know if you've ever seen this. There's a thing called falconry where people can actually have a bird, they can train it, and they can bring it out into the wild and actually have it hunt. I've seen videos, and what I've seen, because these people actually have the birds, they can film it. And what you see is that the bird literally is like, or like the hawk I was seeing, in the tree up there, and then it goes down and it swoops down, grabs like either the squirrel, the rabbit, or whatever it's grabbing, and then all of a sudden it like mantles over it, and literally it just like picks apart all these like bloody things. I don't know. It's just crazy how that's like a delicious meal for it. I'm like, okay, you do you, boo. You know, you like that? You know, you eat it up, eating it up. All right, so that's about it. I think there is something here about the Beth Moth. I might do a separate episode on that. I don't really want to get into it because there is more like stuff that I'm not interested in, and really it's just about Leviathan and all that, and people have their thoughts about what Leviathan or even Beth Moth is, so I'm just going to leave that be for now. I'm going to put myself up on screen fully. All right, so I'm going to add, oh, hey everyone who's in the chat. Hi Jameson, how are you? Nice to see you guys in the chat. If you are in the chat right now and you want to say hello or anything, please say hello. I'd love to add you up on screen. Hello, nice to see you. Okay, so I'm going to try to get my banners back up. So as always, if you'd like to learn more about the Book of Job in a much deeper realm, you can go to my Amazon. In my profile, I've written a couple books, and I talk about the Book of Job as well as other scientific facts that are present in the Bible. And if you have any questions and you don't have access to the comment section here on YouTube, you can email me at this email, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have related to this series. And I'm going to go back just to make sure we don't have any other comments. No, it looks like we're good. But if you have any questions now, please leave them in the chat. And if you don't have any questions right now, or you want to ask them later, again, please email me there at that email. And I'm going to announce while I'm here my next series. So I will be going through the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and doing the science behind the Gospels, sharing scientific facts that Jesus spoke himself, and other types of facts and stories that happened in the Gospels. So Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, in the Gospel of Jesus, basically. Jesus, the Gospel, the Gospel. So I hope you guys enjoyed the Job series. If you would like to see all the episodes all in one place, if you go to my channel, the homepage of my channel, and you go to playlist, you can hit Job series and watch them from the beginning, and you can just play them and they'll simultaneously play. And if you want to share that with a friend, you can also share the playlist with a friend and you can watch them together. So I hope you guys enjoyed this series. Thank you so much for watching. If you've been here since the last month, like a month ago, I really appreciate you guys, and peace be with you.